Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess. But she had an enchantment upon her of a fearful sort, which could only be broken by love's first kiss. She was locked away in a castle, guarded by a terrible fire-breathing dragon. Many brave knights had attempted to free her from this dreadful prison, but none prevailed. She waited in the dragon's keep, in the highest room of the tallest tower, for her true love and true love's first kiss.
Young And below the hilt, in letters of gold, were written these words: Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is rightwise king, born of England. The sword in the stone.
For the word of God is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, and piercing as far as the division of soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart.
The sword in the stone. Though many tried for the sword with all their strength, none could move the sword nor stir it. So the miracle had not worked, and England was still without a king. And in time, the marvelous sword was forgotten. This was a dark age, without law and without order. Men lived in fear of one another, for the strong preyed upon the weak.
That is St. George. And St. George is killing a dragon here, which is what St. George is always doing. And he's rescuing this princess, which is, maybe he's not too thrilled about that because he was expecting a big pile of gold, but it turns out that if you have gold, you can get princesses, so it's basically the same thing. Actually, it turns out if you know how to get gold, you can get princesses, because princesses aren't that stupid. And you can fool them with gold, but if you force them to make a choice, they'll go for the guy who knows how to get the gold instead of the guy that has the gold and doesn't know how to get it. And that's because our tree-dwelling ancestresses were very happy when the first of our tree-dwelling ancestors figured out how to drop a really big stick on a really ugly predatory snake. And that happened a long, long, long time ago. And so this is a really old story. And here's the story. The story is something like, well, when you're out there doing things, sometimes that doesn't work. And when you're where what you're doing is working, you're in one place. And when you're where what you're doing isn't working, you're in another place. And the place you are when where you're doing isn't working is a chaotic state. And the chaotic state is the state that surrounds what you know, in a sense, and that's where all the predators are, fundamentally. That's when you've accidentally wandered out of your safe territory, and that's where the predators lurk. And the system that we use to conceptualize the things that lurk outside our conceptual system is the same system that our ancestors used to detect predators. So we're abstract creatures, and so we think of prey, predator, but then you could think of conception, anomaly, and it's the same idea. And that's why, here's a very loose association, but The snake in the Garden of Eden is a predator because it's a snake, but it's also the thing that always pokes its ugly head up in the middle of your paradises. And there's just no getting away from that. And then the question is, well, what should you do with snakes of life? And one answer is you should scream and run, or you should freeze, which is what a rabbit would do. But it turns out that if you don't do either of those, if you approach the anomalous thing, then you get the treasure that it guards. And I love this image. It's so intelligent because what it says is that, well, if you face the chaotic expanse of life, then that makes you the sort of creature that appeals to potential mates. And there is absolutely no doubt that that's the case.